Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. We're live with your latest Manchester United news and transfer news this Saturday morning. I hope you're doing well. Just think, a week from now, we'll be waking up on Saturday morning digesting not just our breakfast, but also what happened in the Manchester United versus Spurs game a week's time, this time next week, because we'll have played Friday night. So looking forward to that. But we're going to start off with a story that I should have brought up yesterday, but I sort of... I just, because, you know, sometimes I read something and I go, well, I know that. And then I think, well, actually, you should mention it. So Sancho will leave Dortmund is our title today. And this is to do with a story that was going out yesterday morning, I think. An outlet had said on Instagram or something that Jadon Sancho wants to leave Dortmund this summer. And Fabrizio Romano replied to it on Instagram saying, yes, but at the right price. Which is you know, Fabrizio Romano is considered the tier one by basically football Twitter and everybody else. A fantastic journalist when it comes to transfers, gets it right most of the time, if not all the time. So when he talks about Sancho, as he spoke about Sancho on our channel a couple of months ago, we were blessed to have him on. United love Sancho, but this is about Sancho himself. So Fabrizio Romano confirming that Sancho wants to leave, but at the right price, which again fits in with what we know, that there is this agreement. And I forget who I've spoken to, I forget what we've spoken to, I forget what journalists have said, but I know for a fact that over the last 2 months we've spoken about this situation where there is an agreement between Dortmund and Sancho that he can leave at the right price. And this is what Romano is referring to when somebody says, does Sancho want to leave Dortmund? Yes, but at the right price. And that's just an, what's the word? That's just a piece of knowledge that Sancho has, that he knows he can leave Dortmund if they get the price they want. So, I mean, look, Sancho wants to leave Dortmund. I mean, it's not really wow news, is it? Because the conversation has happened between Dortmund and Sancho that if the right price is met, he can go. If they don't get the right price, they're probably going to try and block it. But then he's got to push it. So, I mean, this is just... There's another story this morning that Liverpool might be coming in for Sancho. I think a French outlet are talking about it, and some of you were getting quite concerned about it. And we're going to talk about the cut in the transfer budget, which has happened overnight, which I predicted. A link to a striker from Italy, Angel Gomez contract, a little bit on that, and also Pereira's future, Fati, and a few other things. But just to talk about this, I personally think it's a good thing if Manchester United have competition for Jadon Sancho. So I don't think Liverpool can afford Sancho. I'll just say that. I don't think anybody can. I think United have got a clear run at this. But I was thinking about this morning before I went live, and I don't know what you lot think, but I would prefer United had competition for Sancho for the one reason that it will make us do the deal quicker. If we're the only ones dealing with Sancho, this could be a really long, elongated deal that takes most of the summer, that by the time he signs, we're happy, but we're nowhere near as excited as we would have been. Like Pogba. They suck the joy out of it. Wan-Bissaka, Harry Maguire, Bruno Fernandes. Those deals, when we first heard about them breaking, were really exciting. But by the time we'd signed them, it was like, oh God, for God's sake, just give them the last £5 that you're arguing over, Ed. And that's what I think will happen with Sancho if we don't have any competition. I think I'm more confident we'll get the deal done with competition than we will without. Because if you think about it, like I just said there, if no one can afford Sancho except us, we're going to barter that deal to death. We will absolutely take ages. And you could hit a brick wall with Dortmund who say, well, look, you're just not having him. Whereas if United are competing with Chelsea or Liverpool or maybe even a Real Madrid or whoever, then United know they've got to go in with a strong hand and they know that they're competing. So I don't care if another club comes in, because I think we're more likely to mess the deal up if we're just competing on our own. And I don't know what you lot think about that, but I actually agree with myself on that for once. Surely Dortmund would rather sell this summer as he's only got 1 year left on his contract next summer, says Extra Z. Well, yeah, we've spoken about that before. He's in a similar situation as we are with Pogba. Next summer, if he goes next summer, he'll go for half the price now because he'll only have a year left on his contract. From United's point of view, though, that's not a good thing because there might be more competition next summer. So, look, the point remains with Sancho that he wants to go this summer. And it's all right. It's like me saying to you, isn't it? If there's something you really want, and I say, well, you've got to wait a year, you might do it, but actually you want it now, and that's what Sancho wants. And I think, from Manchester United's point, that Sancho knows. Sancho is sat there, like Fabrizio Romano is saying and everybody else. He can leave if the right price is met. If nobody will meet the right price, does that make it, could United wait a year and get Sancho, with Sancho knowing that they wouldn't meet the price this summer for him? He might just think, up yours, I've got to stay here for another year because you wouldn't pay a bit more money. So United got to get this deal done this summer. Remember when Barcelona came in for Bruno and then we got him, says Reddy HT. Well, yeah, I don't think that was actually ever true, was it, to be honest? I think that was just a paper story, but there we go. If we sign a midfielder, will it drive Fred out of the club? Fred is good, says Mohammed Ramadan. Well, I tell you what, very interesting stat that I can share for you. If you don't follow me on Twitter, you would already know this if you follow me on Twitter, because I tweeted it out about 20 minutes ago. Defensive duels per 90 minutes, Fred is number 1 out of all the top 6 this season. He averages more defensive duels than Ndidi and Kante. He's number 1 in the top 6 this season. I didn't even know that. But that just shows you that, Fred is low-key pretty much becoming the midfielder that we wanted. I've always wanted that energetic, tenacious, ball-winning midfielder. And I think in Fred, and also, to be honest with you, that small, a little bit small, not 6 foot, just tenacious, terrier-like, like a Kante. And I think in Fred, the stats are starting to show a picture that he's already achieving that. So I just don't know how you drop Fred. I mean, I've never been team Fred. I like Fred. And I've always said give Fred a chance, and he's been given his chance and he's proved that he can do it. But I'm starting to become a bit #team Fred here, because he is the midfielder that we want. And if he can sort out his first touch, which I think he can, why can't he be the Kante or the Ndidi that sits in front of the back four and allows Pogba and Bruno to express themselves? This is the midfield CDM I've always wanted. Now, there are errors in his game, and I think we all know what they are. But look, the stats don't lie in relation to certain things. If he's winning more defensive duels than Ndidi and Kante, then he's doing the job that we need. And I don't see how you can drop Fred when he is our player of the year after Wan-Bissaka. So I love McTominay, and I think Matic has been fantastic, but I think Fred is low-key being, and I've used that twice, but I think Fred is being a bit swept under the carpet and ignored, and he doesn't deserve it. So I'm going to be championing Fred over the next week. I don't think he should be dropped. I really don't. Just hope if another club comes in for Sancho, there isn't a ludicrously expensive counter-offer in the vein of Sanchez, says Josh Sutton. Well, yeah, we'd have to wait and see about that. And rumour is that Werner is in London today, says Ivan Coughlin. Yeah, I think the thing with Chelsea was that they've got the deal with Werner done. It's just that the medical's been hard to do because of lockdown and things like that. So that will be done. Right, next bit of news. We were speaking last night about this story from Christian Falk, Sport Bild via United Report, that an interview where he said that, look, United are going to lose out on Bellingham, which appears to be the case. A lot of people are talking about that. We spoke about it a couple of nights ago. I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about it. United really wanted him, and they've missed out. And as Phil Brown was saying at Malakians on Twitter, the fact remains that this is the second deal United have lost a young talent that they really want to Dortmund. Haaland at Christmas, now Bellingham. It really does demonstrate United's negotiating power when they're missing out on players to Dortmund. I mean, it's Dortmund. It's bloody Borussia Dortmund at the end of the day. It's not Bayern Munich and it's not Real Madrid. It's Dortmund. Dortmund don't win Bundesligas. They're not going to win Bundesligas. They're not going to win Champions Leagues. They are a stopgap club that develop players. Manchester United should not be losing out to that type of a club. We've got a history of developing players and winning trophies. We shouldn't be losing out, and they need to, I think United at the moment, they're riding a crest of a wave of positivity, but look, you're only as weak as your weakest point. We've missed out on 2 players that we really wanted because they feel that Dortmund's better for their career. And United need to look at that and go, why, and stop it happening again. Once is bad enough, twice is a theme, 3 times is a disaster. So we need to sort that out. But the same journalist also said that United have got a €300 million transfer budget. I was talking about this last night. I said it's a load of crap. I know it's a load of crap. And it's come out this morning on an article in the Manchester Evening News where they're saying United are bemused by this story that they've got 300 million to spend because they haven't. They haven't got anywhere near that, as I said last night. So I think if you work to the assumption that United have got 70 million to spend, and they might need to sell a few, which they will, to get the money for Sancho. It may be, and that article actually says this as well, but we've already spoken about it. It may be that our summer this summer is Sancho, and that's it. Don't necessarily expect anything more than that. We do really want Grealish. I don't believe the Van der Beek rumours. I definitely don't believe the Havertz rumours. I think it's Sancho, Bellingham, Grealish. Well, we've missed out on Bellingham by the looks of it. Sancho, Grealish. I think Grealish will be difficult to do if Villa stay up, and we might not do it anyway. Sancho. And let's not forget, there's no guarantee that we'll get Sancho. I'm 70% sure we will, which is high at the moment, but imagine if we don't do any business this summer after all the hype. It wouldn't surprise me, but look, they've got to get Sancho done. For me, Mark, to play Fred, we need to leave either Pogba or Bruno out. It's the only way to create a balanced midfield, in my opinion, says John Ashbridge. Not if you play a 4-2-3-1. If you play a 4-2-3-1 and you put Pogba next to Fred, I think that can work. I really do. But I don't think he'll do it. I think he will play Matic, to be honest with you. But I can't believe... I mean, it's, you know, fair play to Ollie. He's got the decision to make. But I said this last night. How do you drop Fred? What has he done to be dropped? Nothing. There's just been a bloody worldwide pandemic that stopped him playing for 3 months. But how do you drop Fred? He even got an assist yesterday, a very good assist for Pereira. I was just going to mention that. We know the goal scorers and we know the scores now. We lost the first game 2-1 and Bruno scored a penalty. We won the second game 3-1. Chong scored what was a mistake by the keeper, to be honest, and Pereira scored 2 goals. One of them was a lovely ball through by Fred where he just had to tap it in. The other one was a curler from the edge of the box. I'm not getting carried away about that, by the way. I'm not going to start saying, oh, Pereira's got a future at United. I think Pereira deserves to be in the same conversation as Lingard. You know, anyone who's saying let's give Pereira another chance, I think he's had enough chances, to be honest. I'm not saying he won't turn it around, and I'm not saying Lingard won't turn it around. But I think they've had their chances, and you know, Pereira scoring a couple of goals doesn't really mean a hell of a lot to me. And I think also he's got a lot of players behind him. But Fred with a very good assist, if you see it. I mean, I would have scored the goal, but yeah, I like Fred. I'm a big fan of him. Sancho 80 million, Grealish 50 million, Partey 45 million, Moussa Dembele 40 million. Says Yazin. Sell Pogba for 100 million. Okay, yeah, I think you're living in dreamland, but it's always nice to dream. Yesterday we played Matic, Pogba and Fred with 4-1-2-3, says Cecil, Edward, Xavi and Diaz. We didn't though, did we? Because we played Bruno in the first game and we played Fred in the second game. So I don't know where you're getting your info from there. It was definitely Matic, Bruno and Pogba as the midfield in the first game. And I think the second game it was Fred, Pereira and probably McTominay. His one problem with getting top young players in is that they want to play under more experienced managers than Ollie. Also, please give a shout out to Johnny, says Alan Moore 89. I don't know. I mean, look, you know, I don't think it's lost on any United player that there is still that jury out on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I think that we'll see what happens with that. But I don't think it's necessarily a reason for players not to want to come to Manchester United. This is a question for all, says Reddy HD. What is a realistic transfer window? Do we have the money to spend? I don't trust Woodward. I think if you start at Sancho, and anything beyond that you see as a bonus. But if you start at Sancho, that's the minimum deal we need to do to have a good transfer window. Anything else beyond that is good. I think it's massively disappointing that we miss out on Bellingham because we know we wanted him and we've lost out on him again. But I think if we get Sancho, people will see that as a progression in a difficult market. If we don't get Sancho, I think people will go, what the bloody hell are we doing? You know, we haven't furloughed staff. We haven't done player wage cuts. We have got money. We need to spend that money. There's a story coming out just this morning as well from Manchester Evening News via Calcio Mercato, talking about Immobile, the striker at Lazio, being linked to Manchester United. I don't really need to read too deep into this to tell you it's a load of crap. Good goal scoring record, 30 years of age. He has done very well. He's had a very good career. He's a good goal scorer. But two things really: one, he won't be leaving Italy. Two, he just wouldn't be coming to Manchester United in the Premier League at that age. And three, Manchester United are not looking for a striker, because if we were, we would have bought Werner, and we didn't. We're sticking with what we've got, a Garlo to paper the cracks until January next year. That's what's happening. We're not signing a striker, which is odd because we were looking at a striker very seriously in March, but we've just decided to keep a Garlo, and that's just the way it's going to be in relation to strikers. There's plenty out there. Forget Immobile. There's plenty of strikers out there. Dembele, Edouard, Jimenez. There was Werner out there. Osimhen. There's loads of strikers out there that United could be looking at. Moussa Dembele as well, but we're not. Get Sancho and a world-class centre-back and we are challenging next season, says Tyrese Shakur. I don't think a centre-back should be a priority ahead of another midfielder, to be honest with you. We should make Lautaro Martinez from Inter Milan our second priority signing. Class player with a great striker abilities, says Hawk. Nathan Medhorst says, morning. Welcome to him and Ashley Little, who I can see are members in the live chats. Thank you, lads, for joining. And Remington Singh, thank you for your contribution. The highlights are on the Manchester United app if you want to see them, Malik. They're not great highlights. I saw Rance having a bit of a dig at Rashford, actually, because people were going Rashford's the best winger in the world because there's some good clips of Rashford, but then the final ball's not great. And Rance was basically saying, well, look, you know, what's the point in all the skills if you haven't got a final ball? And he got a bit of stick for it. But look, I think I tweeted this out this month. I'm promoting my tweet at Twitter at Mark Goldbridge. But no, I said this morning and I have said it many a time. I think Marcus Rashford, who's without question got the ability to be world class. I think some people call him world class already. But I don't think that is the case. Because I don't think he's the finished article yet. I've seen Marcus Rashford score that free kick against Chelsea and think, wow. But I've also seen him put 50 into the stadiums, which is a waste of free kicks if you're only going to score 1 from 50. I've seen Marcus Rashford score goals one-on-one like he's blindfolded. I've seen him finish one-on-ones like he's blindfolded and put it wide. I've seen him head the ball with his eyes closed. I've seen him head the ball into the back of the net. I've seen him skin somebody and put a perfect cross in and somebody misses it or scores. I've seen him skin somebody and put a bad cross in. I think the difference between Marcus Rashford being top class, which is where I'd put him at the moment, and world class is consistency in the final ball. So I agree with Rance to a certain extent, but I don't think Rance actually rates Rashford, so I totally disagree with him on that. I just think that he does need to, over the next couple of years, because he's still very young, the consistency into his prime years or formulative years, because he's still, establishing himself, his body, his playing style. He just needs to be a little bit more concentrated in the final third. And I think Ollie can help him with that. Not final third, final ball. The finish. Don't switch off. Don't get overexcited. Don't close your eyes. Don't think you've skinned 3 people and the cross is the easiest bit. And I think that's just the innocence of youth. You see it quite a lot. They almost, you skip past 3 players. The last bit to do is the cross and you take your eye off the ball and you mess the cross up, having done great work. And I think that's something I put with Rashford. Definitely got the potential to be world class. Currently top class. Does a lot of the hard stuff and then sometimes switches off on the easy bit. And that's the difference between being a... I'm trying to think of a player here that matches it up well. But that's the difference between being somebody like a Raheem Sterling and a Messi. Raheem Sterling's a top-class player. I don't think he's world-class because where's he been this season? He had a very good season last year. I don't think Raheem Sterling's world-class because it's consistency. So do you want to be Raheem Sterling, Rashford, or do you want to be Messi? Messi is consistent, and I think Rashford's got the work ethic to be world-class. We'll see. People will be laughing and clipping this. Report today in Le 10 Sport saying that Sancho race is being led by Liverpool, says Jamie Philander. Well, that's that French report. I ain't worried. I'm not worried. I actually think it's good news for United to be competing for somebody for Sancho. Because if we get a free run, like I said a few minutes ago, we will just sit there trying to save a fiver for 6 weeks. If Liverpool go in hard and we go in hard, it will force us to get the deal done quicker. And if we lose again, that'll be another deal that we've messed up when other people... We've got a bad record. I said this 2 nights ago. We've got a bad record in transfers when other clubs want a player. We've got to do better. Consistency comes as you get older and experience. That sums up the team too. Young and consistent, prone to errors with potential to be brilliant. I think that's a fair thing. What qualities does Sancho have that benefits United? Not a critic, says Mohammed. I think Sancho is a bit... I think if you compared Sancho to Rashford, which is a fair thing to do because one plays on the right, one plays off the left primarily. I think Rashford is more explosively fast, direct. I think Sancho is more of a... if Rashford likes to play in 5th gear, fast, skillful, direct, I think Sancho's that sort of player, but he can do it in a lower gear. At a slower pace, Rashford can skin at a slower pace, Sancho can skin people. Where I think Rashford, he's just explosive. He's like an Mbappe. It's speed as well as talent. I think Sancho gives you that, but he can run fast. But I think Sancho can also be more of a creator. I think you could drop Sancho into a number 10 position. I don't think Rashford can play in as a number 10. I think Rashford can play up front, but I don't think Sancho can play up front. So I think they're quite different, but they provide good balance to the team, because I think Sancho's qualities are more that of a winger, but a number 10, whereas Rashford's more of a winger striker sort of thing. So I think they complement each other very well, and it would give us balance and right-sided, which is really what we need. Do I think Sancho will snub us, says Aubergine? I think anything's possible. Anything's possible. I didn't think Bellingham would snub us, so I think anything is possible. But I still think... and he has got that final ball, says Ashley Little as well. Yeah, Sancho has got the consistency that Rashford doesn't have yet as well. Card Tricker says, is Sancho like Mbappe? I think Rashford's closer to Mbappe than Sancho, because I say Rashford's more of a striker, fast player. I think Sancho's more of a Messi type player, not explosively fast, but very good with the ball at his feet, whatever speed he's going. More of a creator, more of a final ball, but he can finish as well. And that's a good one from Adil Ahmed. Look, we're not saying that these players, but Rashford's more Ronaldo, powerful, explosively fast, and Sancho's more Messi, a little bit slower and also more intricate. And probably a better dribbler, actually. So yeah, they complement each other very well. God, I hope we get it done. Barcelona have come out and spoken about this Fati nonsense, which I've really not wanted to talk about this week, because I knew it was a load of crap all week. We bid for Fati from Barcelona for £180 million. What a load of rubbish. But Barcelona have come out and said that's a load of rubbish, which I think we already knew. Anyway, Angel Gomez is edging closer to a new deal, according to The Athletic. There's a lot of things around Angel Gomez, and I've purposely stayed quiet on this because I just don't like to jump either way when I know for a fact the decision's not been made. There's some people who are sitting there smugly saying, well, if you've been following me, I've told you this deal, Gomez signed a new contract 3 weeks ago. And then there's still people saying, well, there's a chance he'll leave. The point is, I think it's pretty much well, look, I'll tell you what I know. He is going to sign a new contract. There's just a couple of more things they need to sort out. I think you can see from him training with the team, there's been a change in him. There's been a change in the club. Obviously, we know Chong stayed when we thought he was going to leave. Gomez will stay at Manchester United. I think the circumstances for him to go, it's the wrong time. And I think he knows that staying at United is the best move for him at the moment. But him and Chong need to go on loan next season. Ollie's got to get that right. So he's not signed a deal yet, despite what in the nose and people say. Angel Gomez has not signed the deal yet. He could still leave at the end of the month, but it's looking very, very good that he will sign a deal. Some people just want to jump early and say, I've known for weeks he's signing a deal. He hasn't signed a deal yet, but I think there's every chance that he will do it, which is good news. Who's got the highest ceiling, says KLS? Greenwood, Rashford or Sancho? I don't know, I've not seen their house, but maybe if we wait for MTV Cribs, we'll see. But if you're talking about talent ceiling, which I know you are, I was just being sarcastic. Greenwood, Sancho, Rashford, who's got the biggest potential? I think the great thing about those three players is I don't think you could say with any conviction which one will be the best player. I think you could easily say Greenwood because he's younger and he's probably going to be primarily a striker. So, maybe he will go higher in the game. But I think Rashford could be world class. I think Sancho can be world class. And I definitely think Greenwood could. So if I said one player out of those three, I'm really just predicting, which is the exciting thing. If we can get Sancho, we have all three at Manchester United, as well as Martial and Bruno and Pogba. So I don't know. I think it's an impossible question to say who will be the better player out of Greenwood, Rashford and Sancho. And actually, I don't really want to differentiate because I would hope that they're all going to be at United for years to come. And I hope that they're all as good as each other because it's very difficult to predict, but it's just very exciting to have all three. Would I take Tonali, says Gradient, in a heartbeat? Yes, I would, definitely. Teljo says that it will be Rashford. I hate this question, Jordan P. What's your Sancho alternative? Depression. I keep saying this. There is no alternative to Jadon Sancho. It's like There is no alternative to Jadon Sancho, quite simply. There is no alternative to Jadon Sancho, because if we don't get Jadon Sancho... I'm really disappointed that we went all in for Bellingham and he's going to Dortmund. I'm so disappointed. Imagine we go all in for Sancho and we don't get him. Like, Bellingham was a player that I think's got great potential, and we really needed him to come to the club, and it would have been an exciting signing. Jadon Sancho is a different level. Jadon Sancho is one of the world's best right wingers who wants to move to a bigger club, and we need a right winger. He is perfection for Manchester United. Anything else is a step down. If we don't get Sancho, when we know for a fact that we want him, and we very rarely know this about United because they'll sort of back off or not release anything or make it unclear. We know United want Sancho. 100% they want Sancho. If they don't get him, I think we'll all just be gutted, absolutely disappointed and depressed. So to talk about alternatives in a way that's even fair to those alternatives, I don't care if the alternative is a year of Ronaldo. I'd still be disappointed. There is nothing. You can't dress that up no matter where you go. You know, it will be a turd. You can't polish a turd. If we don't get Sancho, that's what we're looking at, a turd. And spray it, polish it, whatever you like. We want Sancho. The club wants Sancho. He is perfect for what United need. And anything else would just be a massive disappointment. And I actually feel sorry for the player that we would go and get. I would advise United don't get anyone. Because if they don't get Sancho and they go with an alternative, I think that player's set up to fail. Because there is nobody anyway. There's nobody good enough anyway. And the fans would just be pissed off. So, yeah, we've got to get it. I mean, I've said this before. This is not putting pressure on the club. They've put the pressure on themselves. They need this player. It's a symbolic signing. It's a player that we really need. They've got to go and get it done. For me, this summer's transfer window will be one extreme or the other. Either we will get all our top targets or scarily end up with no one, says Andrew Chow. Soham Bendre says, changing hairstyle is probably a good thing for Tahith Chong. Getting rid of Fellaini hairstyle has worked wonders. Well, it was a terrible keeping error. I would have scored that, but fair play to him. Martial and Rashford and Sancho with Pogba, Bruno, McTominay, and then buy a world-class centre-back, and we're challenging. Look at Liverpool when they got Van Dijk, says Therese Shekhar. I think. Look. The whole point of the United Stand is it's all about your opinion. I can't tell you what to think, and I never would. You've got to make your own mind up. But my assessment of these statements of Sancho and this, and we're challenging this and that, and we're challenging, I think you totally disrespect the fact that we're nowhere near winning a title even next year. If we won the title next year, it would be miraculous. I mean, it wouldn't be like what Leicester did, but it would be miraculous, because I think you've got to go through a title race before you win a title. I don't think you can just go and win a title. And I think also, we've fallen into this trap loads of times. I remember when Mourinho first came in and he got Pogba and Zlatan, we're going to win the title. We didn't win the title. We didn't even finish in the top four. You know, we won the Europa League, but we didn't finish in the top four with Pogba and Zlatan in our first season. So realistically, we won't win the title next year, and we probably won't win it the year after. So I think that talk of let's get this, let's get that, we're going to win a title, I don't think it actually helps. I think it just puts undue pressure onto the club and onto the manager and onto the players. United need to be next season firmly in the top four. If we're not in there, we're failing. The year after that, I'd like to think we challenge for the title. And the year after that, maybe we win it. So I'm saying 3 seasons from now to win the title. Anything before that would be a massive boost. But that doesn't mean that we can just sit fighting for 5th for 3 years. No, I think you've got to see progression in the way that we play and the results that we get. So next season for me, 3rd, firmly in the top 4. No messing around with Arsenal about fighting for 5th, firmly in the top 4. Season 2, a title challenge. Be in a title race until at least April. Season 3, win it. That's what I think in relation to Premier League over the next 3 seasons. I think anybody who's saying get this, get that, and we're challenging totally undermines what the job that is at United. Because if it was that easy as a couple of players, we'd have won the title in the last 7 years. We've been miles off every year. So you can't close that gap with 2 signings. I think there's a whole massive change at Manchester United that's hopefully being done and still needs to be done. Chong gained 4 miles in top speed, says Josh Sutton. Okay, well look, thanks everyone for watching. Please smash a like on the video. We are going to be live at 8 o'clock tonight with the 8 o'clock show as per usual. Please subscribe if you're new, bottom right hand corner. Thanks to everybody who's watched the video about Pogba and Bruno. It's brilliant. I watched it again this morning. I've watched it 5 times now. It just gets me really excited about next Friday. If you've not seen it, I think it's called How Pogba and Bruno Will Play for United. It's on the homepage. It's only about 7 minutes long, and it's got all graphics and everything. It's really good. So give it a check. Subscribe as well, and I'll speak to you at 8 o'clock.